Hi, hey, how you doing? Welcome to Doodle Talk. My name's Sam, and this is Doodle Talk.
What's up, all you doodles and doodlers out there, you schemers and dreamers, you beamers and deemers, you creamers and jeemers? Welcome back to the Doodle Talk podcast. This is episode 29. Come on in, have a seat, grab a cup of joe, get it to go. We're just rhyming today. Unstoppable. Eminem, watch out, I'm coming for you, bud. Hope you guys are good. I'm doing pretty good. A little tired, but I went on a run earlier, so I'm feeling nice and loosey-goosey and relaxed. I normally go on a run in the afternoon before I record these, and it's really a good way to make sure you're kind of like chill and level-headed and kind of fresh and ready to go when you sit down and just talk to yourself for 30 minutes, because it can be kind of weird sometimes. But yeah, welcome back to another episode, and let's jump right in. A little bit of housekeeping, not too much. The What If Zelda Pokemon video is up. I have posted it. It's out in the world. And if you guessed Celebi, you were right. I did a little poll on my Instagram, and a few people actually voted in and guessed, and I tricked a few people, and Jace, my buddy Jace, he got it right. He said, I asked him, was it too easy? And he was like, no. When I saw the time travel thing, I kind of knew it had to be Celebi, but it wasn't too easy. And I was like, nice. I like doing those little polls and stuff on Instagram, but not a lot of people actually respond to them. But yeah, it's really fun. I like doing, like, when I see an artist or somebody I follow do them too. Normally, if it's like something I am actually know about or like am interested in, I'll always try and like do the multiple choice or like send in a thing or whatever if they're asking. But yeah, that's up. So if you haven't watched that, please go check that out. The full video is up on my YouTube, and then I also posted it on Instagram and stuff. If you don't mind, go check it out on YouTube and see how I made it. I talked through the process of like how I came up with Celebi for Zelda, and going through a little bit of the process of actually doing the illustration and the animation. And yeah, had a lot of fun with that one. Another week of like cutting it close, and at the time of recording this, it's not out yet. But by the time this podcast is released, I should have my third weekly YouTube video posted, and it's a fun one. And I'm behind. I have a lot of work to do later today to try and finish it up in time to post it on Monday, which I'm hoping to do. And I'm gonna do this. We got another video it's not a what if challenge. It's fun. It's a different kind of art video, but I'm gonna do that one and then one more to round off the 4-week intensive boot camp that I put myself through. Just setting a goal to get out a YouTube video besides these Doodle Talks every week. And I talked about this last time, but I sat down last night and I was like, shit, I'm already behind on this one. And like, luckily, on purpose, I chose this week. I was like, I need to take a break. It can't be an animation. It needs to be like something else. And I don't want to just do the what if Pokemon videos over and over and over, right? And luckily this week's isn't going to require too much like just physical labor of like sitting down and drawing. It will still require quite a bit, and I have some ideas for like the editing and stuff actually might be a little bit more involved than just the kind of how the Pokemon what if videos were. And I was really thinking to myself like, man, okay, I talked last week about like thinking about going to a 3 video a month structure that's besides the Doodle Talk. So 1 Doodle Talk every week and then 3 other videos a month, essentially kind of like every 10 days, right? And I was like, well, I sat down last night, I was like, what would that look like if I actually set that in stone into like a schedule? And I was like, well, I'm posting these on my Mondays in Japan. Like Japan Monday nights is when I'm normally posting these other YouTube videos. And I was like, all right, well, what if I just did every other Monday? Like, would that work? And it works out pretty well. I think Monday is a decent I know it's kind of irrelevant, but like it's a decent day that like lines up pretty well with most months, where like every now and then, like this next one, I think July 1st is going to be the Monday when the next video comes out. So like technically it wouldn't be 4 videos that I put out in June, but it's 4 weeks in a row, right? I really don't care about if like the numbers when it gets into stuff like that. I think the thing that I care more about right now is like consistency, and then just posting a little bit more than I was before. And I was like, that looks good. I think I'm gonna switch to that style of every other Monday is gonna be another video. So it's essentially like, it's not a full 2 weeks, but it's not every week where because why I'm saying this too is like, I was thinking like, thankfully I'm doing one that's not too involved. It's not taking too much work. Like I'm still already like, shit, I gotta make sure I can get the last one done. But I just don't want to sacrifice the quality of these videos just for some like forced schedule that I have for myself, where like, yes, it's good to start being very consistent and putting out more videos than I was before, especially since I'm really trying to push the YouTube channel right now and try and get more subscribers over there. And yes, all that stuff's good, but it's like, well, if say for one of these videos where it's going to require more editing, or for when the time comes when I'm able to kind of like take a step up and like either like, okay, this time it's going to be a really intensive drawing or animation, or this time the editing and stuff is going to be really intensive, because I have plenty of ideas that would require more time that I'm just not able to do this month, right? Like one of them, this is something I really have wanted to do forever, and I think would make a really cool YouTube video, is to animate my own Akira Slide. And if you don't know what that is, if you know the movie Akira, it's just an OG classic, right? It's a classic. It's one of the best anime movies probably ever. Like in terms of like what it's done, it's inspired people like Pulp Fiction did for filmmakers. That's like what Akira did for like sci-fi animation, stuff like that, pushing the boundaries. Really cool story, really awesome, really iconic. That's the word I'm looking for. Akira is super iconic. And the most iconic thing in Akira is this one shot. It's known as the Akira Slide in like animation, and it's this shot where there's a frame and he comes from like behind the camera essentially, and like shoots through and kind of like and skids out. Actually, this would be here. Watch this. Ready? Like that. Okay. Yeah, I hope that was good. I'll try and put it up on the screen too. I really want to make an animation of that, but that is something I don't want to rush. That is not something I feel okay with. Like, just, that's not something where it's like, I tried my best, or like, it was just a video that to put out a video for putting it out, like putting a video out's sake. And it's something that I care very deeply about and that I would want to put a lot of time into. And if I'm on a 1 week schedule, currently, where I'm also working full time, like it's just not gonna work. So and I knew that going into this month where I was posting 4 videos, I was like, I don't know if this will be sustainable, but I would like to push myself to at least have a nice not a buffer, but like a nice little push of like 2 extra videos that month, because it would have just been 1 video every other week on top of the Doodle Talks, and now it's 4 videos on top of all the Doodle Talks, and it's a nice little bump for my channel, right? It's a nice little, just to get the catalog a little more beefed up and have more videos, so if people do want to watch other videos that I'm making and stuff, they can. It's all there, right? But I just immediately have realized like that's not sustainable, so what I'm going to do is probably scale it back to every other Monday, and then I might, it just depends, right? I think for the Akira one, that would be like, okay, this month I'm just gonna do 2 videos, and one of them is gonna be the Akira Slide, and the other one will be like a really light one. And then yeah, that's probably good, right? Like just saying it out loud right now kind of makes it make sense, where it's like every other Monday would be like 3 medium level intensity work editing kind of videos, and then if I have every now and then when I have that bigger idea that I'd like to implement, or I'd like to make the video because I'm just like itching to do it, then I might scale it back to like 2 videos in a month. So, if you're kind of going back and forth in this like I am, don't freak out about it too much. I know, because here's the thing, right? It's like a lot of people will tell you, like, you need to post every day, get a reel out, post on TikTok every day, and like posting a lot and consistency. I mean, it helps. There's no denying that. I'm not even gonna try and be like the quality over quantity is just true across the board. Because when you're trying to get more followers and people to pay attention to you, if you're not there, it's hard, right? Especially with the algorithms nowadays. And this segues perfectly into what I'm talking about today, which is kind of like ways to make a living as an independent artist. And my favorite methods and approaches that I've seen over the past year or so is what I want to talk about, because jumping right into the main topic, this is one of the other kind of recent news things that I wanted to touch on anyway. It's funny because last week I was talking about the new YouTube partner program and how it's like changing from 1,000 subscribers to 500 and from like 4,000 watch hours in a year to 3,000, which still super excited about that. I did do a little research and I think it doesn't apply to Japan just yet. And I don't know when it's being rolled out exactly. But if you're in America, which I think most of the people watching or listening to this are in America, and if you're a YouTuber or thinking about starting a YouTube, I mean, now's the best time, man. Like, start right now and try and build up 500 subscribers to have by the time that new YPP is rolled out, and then, you can start trying to get some monetization going. And here's the thing is, like, even if it's not 500, if I'm stuck in Japan and I gotta get 1,000, that's fine. That was the goal anyways. And it's like, you're not gonna make that much money if you have 500 subscribers and like just 500 subscribers, and you think like, oh, the views and the watch time on your videos would have to be insane, but in order to make like good money, right? But then at that point, it's like you're probably gonna have more subscribers anyways, right? So but it's nice because you get to get your foot in the door, and like if you would like to just maybe start making a little bit of money, and it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because it's like the earlier you can start monetizing, the earlier you're getting involved in ads and monetizing your content and like making people have to watch ads on your content, right? You're subjecting them to stuff that they wouldn't have had to otherwise. And it could be weird for like the natural growth of some creators and artists and their channels, but overall, I think it's a great thing. And it's just funny because I was talking about that and how the Reddit CEO is kind of like doing some bad. You can think of it what you want, but he's not handling things super well. And there was a huge backlash among Redditors and moderators and people making third-party apps for Reddit. Twitter has had its ups and downs, and it has its weird moments and stuff like that. Meta, Facebook is just like, I don't know. It's kind of its own little weird category. But there's one thing I mention Patreon every now and then, but I don't think I bring it up enough, because the news that I recently saw this week, and what I wanted to really talk about, is Patreon. And like the news that I saw is, so first let me break it down. If you don't know what Patreon is, I'm assuming you do, but I'll just do a quick little explanation. Patreon is like it's a website that you can become a member of. Essentially, you're a creator on Patreon. This is for artists and creators and people like that, right? Self-entrepreneurs, like if you own, like you're your own business or your own independent freelancer artist. You can create an account on Patreon and essentially skip all the middlemen of like doing ads on YouTube videos. Instead, it's just a subscription service that goes straight to you, right? Like you're directly connected to your patrons, the people who are subscribed to you and pay you any number of different tiered money revenue tiers, where it's like, $1, it's like I'll give you some stickers every month. $5, you get to full access to all my time lapses and my process videos. $15 is like I send you a print every month, right? There's all these different tiers, there's all these different ways to do it. And I mean, I don't talk about it a lot, but I love Patreon as a model. And I just realized this. I just put this together, but I didn't know that Jack Conte is the CEO of Patreon. And if you don't know who Jack Conte is, I mean, he's been on YouTube forever. He's like a musician and an artist. And he was in this band, he's in this band called Pomplamoose. And Pomplamoose is his duo, and they do a lot of covers and stuff, but they have their original music. But they kind of blew up back in the day on YouTube for like doing these really awesome covers. They're really cool. They do cool videos too. It's kind of almost in the vein of like the OK Go music videos, you know, where they do like those one shot or like those really intricate cool videos. It's not always like that, right? Like they have a few videos that are in that vein, but they're very like innovative and creative. And on top of that, great musicians, some awesome covers. They do a really sick cover of the Daft Punk song Prime Time of Your Life. Yeah, which is a throwback. That's not like obviously the most famous Daft Punk song, but it's sick. It's really awesome. And yeah, you should go check them out if you haven't. But it's just crazy because it's like that was actually one of the first probably channels I followed on YouTube way back in the day. We're talking like 10 plus years ago. Yeah, it was just crazy because I was like, oh shit, like that's the guy. It's a guy and a girl in Pomplamoose, and the dude Jack Conte. I had no idea that him and this other guy, he came up with the idea, and then this other guy, Sam something. Shout out to the Sams out there. Basically I think helps like program and create the website and everything like that. So which is so awesome because what I was saying, like it relates to what I was talking about last week, where I was talking about these CEOs and these higher ups who are like at least seemingly super out of touch and just like genuinely don't give a fuck about the people who use their service to like a certain extent, who either have too much going on to where they can't actually put enough energy into making their service or product good, or who just genuinely just don't really care and are entirely profit driven, right? So it's like some days you just wake up and you're like, well, that's just the way the world goes. That's the way the cookie crumbles, right? Like that's just capitalism working and stuff like that. But it's like you see stuff like Patreon and people like Jack, and you're like, wait, oh yeah, shit, I forgot that like it doesn't have to be so shitty. Like there are actual alternatives that don't suck and don't just like steal money from creators basically, or just like use them. Like, I mean, for all, you know, for as much as I love Instagram and as my like main like mobile app that I use, right? Like it's still just all these social media companies are essentially just profiting off of all the people who use it. So there's tons of creators who are like, you know, getting people to watch their stuff on Instagram. Instagram's running hella ads on all that shit, and none of those creators are like seeing any of the money back. They're not getting any profit. YouTube is the only one that's like genuinely you can get to a point where it's like very profitable and stuff works for you, you know, like you can actually make money, which is why I also love YouTube. And there's like, you know, Patreon is kind of just like the quiet cousin in the corner who knows all the answers to the tests but just doesn't really like to brag about it or anything, right? Like Patreon is just awesome because it's like it's there's no middleman. It's just a like straight subscription service. And the reason I don't really talk about it much, and I don't have a Patreon right now, and I'm really considering getting one, and I'll explain why in a second. But up until now, like a Patreon I've subscribed to people's Patreons. I've had to drop a few just due to like money, financial things, but as many of the creators that I really like and want to support that I see like that aren't just making like, you know, the creators that I'm seeing that like, okay, $1 a month or $5 a month really could help this person out. If I'm able to, I always try and do it. And sometimes I have to be like, all right, I did this for 6 months, and I'll give this person some money. Like I really try, right? And I know a lot of other people who aren't artists and stuff like that too. I have some friends who are like just so awesome about like giving artists money, or just like, really really supporting them, right, is what I'm trying to say. And I take that very seriously, and I don't want to create a Patreon where I don't have anything of value to offer. And I'm not saying that in a like self-deprecating way, and I don't mean it like that at all. I just mean I wouldn't feel comfortable creating a Patreon unless I really felt like I had at least something to give to the people who would like to support me. And it's totally okay too. Like if you just have a Patreon and you're like, I don't have any extra perks or any like special things I can give you. It's just like if you'd like to support me making my art, and so that I can make more and get to a certain level, like that's totally cool too. Like there's nothing wrong with that. And like I'm essentially to the point where I'm considering just kind of dipping my toes into that style as well. But the thing that's so great is, and why I'm reconsidering and thinking about how I really could push a Patreon of my own, is Patreon just released, or just announced, that they're going to be releasing essentially like a commerce aspect to Patreon, where you can sell goods in like digital, or I don't know if it's physical actually. I don't think they've released too much information on it just yet, so I apologize. And if I get anything wrong here, I also apologize. This is just something exciting that I saw and I wanted to talk about. But essentially, they're going to create some more ways that the artists and creators on Patreon can just directly sell their goods and services to the patrons. And I think the cool thing too, Jack was saying, like, you don't even have to be a patron of that person, which would be a pretty shitty kind of like wall to have. Like if it's like, oh, I wanted to buy this dude's album, but I'm not a patron, so like now I also have to subscribe, like pay $1 a month just to buy this thing. And I'm pretty sure they're doing it so that is not what you have to do. It's like almost like a separate, like, it's like, here's my Etsy shop, or like here's my Bandcamp that's just attached to my Patreon, which is like such a good idea. I mean, Patreon just from the beginning was an awesome idea. Now this is really exciting and awesome too, because now I'm thinking like, okay, one of the things that I am really trying to get back into and kind of keep up with is creating like some stuff, because I have an Etsy shop, right? I'd like to create more kind of animated backgrounds, like assets, Twitch overlays, streaming overlays, and stuff like that. I dabbled in that stuff about a year ago when I made some backgrounds for my friends over at the Ramen Bowl, and I love those animated backgrounds that I made, and they use them when they stream on Twitch and stuff. And some of them, like the way that they have it laid out and like with the text on top, it looks sick. It looks really cool. Still stoked on those to this day. And I have some of those that I created. I also wanted to sell on my Etsy shop, and I put them up there, and just, it's like, Etsy is great, as a company, as like a website, as a service that you can use. I just don't think it really gels with me and like my, I don't even know, like, it doesn't work well. It's just like another thing that I have to try and keep up with, or like, obviously, yes, you can create the stuff, you can put it on your store, and then like you just try and let it work for you, right? But Etsy, especially through COVID, like, super saturated with all these people, and good, like, it's a good thing, a lot of artists took to Etsy and wanted to be sufficient and make money with selling things or making art for people. Totally awesome. I have no problems with Etsy. It's also just a little bit hard for me being in Japan. I have to like set it up as though I'm in North America. Shh, don't tell Etsy. But yeah, there's some weird complications. You have to like, you have to pay. It's a really small amount, but you have to basically pay to keep your items listed so that you can sell them to people, which I understand. I don't even have any problems with that. That's not even like, I don't think it's unfair. I think it's pretty fair. I know there are some problems. People have had some problems with Etsy, but it's just like when you have a company that's that big, there's going to be there's going to be pros and cons, right? And all that's to say, I just don't. Etsy doesn't seem to work for me that well. I haven't really made any sales on it. And part of that is my problem, my fault of like not updating the store, not pushing it hard enough. But the other thing too is like why I'm excited about the Patreon having the commerce ability, right, is because you can kind of start consolidating things a little bit. That's what I'm trying to do a lot. Like I stopped trying to use TikTok because like I've said this before, but it's like you only have so much time in a day, especially when you're a freelancer, an artist, you know, when you're an independent artist, and it's like people don't think about it, but when you know, it's like, okay, I gotta post this, I gotta like write the description, I gotta upload this YouTube video, I gotta cut down this highlight thing for this podcast. Like there's so many moving parts if you want to stay relevant and like just to a bare minimum level of like posting content, to where like if you add in another social media, if you add in another aspect of like, even if you're just posting the same videos, I know it seems trivial and like I'm just complaining, but you know, it adds up over time, and it does take up a lot of your time, to the point where it's like I'm just trying to manage so much, and just the Etsy store by itself is, you know, if I was making more money on it, yes, it would be much more important to me, obviously, like there's no denying that. But the fact that I could now be like, okay, let me take some of that energy that I was putting into things for the Etsy shop, and now I can move that over to Patreon. And essentially it's like a 2-for-1, right? Because now it's like, if there was something that I was going to focus on to update my shop in Etsy, I can sell that on Patreon, and also maybe include some of that as like a thing that I would want to give to the people who are subscribing to me, right? So, you know, just food for thought, right? Just something to think about. And you know, as you see all these companies like Twitch and Reddit, I know Reddit's not really like where artists make money, but you know, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram took away giving creators money. Twitter is weird. It's kind of in a middle ground where like some people love it, some people hate it. YouTube's good, but there are still problems with YouTube. And you know, if you don't like, the YouTube algorithm is amazing and kind of harsh at the same time. Like if you get a lot of views, like it's gonna push your video, but it's to me, honestly, YouTube seems a little bit harder for smaller creators, people that are like just starting out, unless you just really make some kind of like viral video. And that's kind of true for everything, but it's hard to break in. Back to my point of like, I'm seeing all these CEOs and all these people who run these companies and all these like, something like YouTube where it's so big that it doesn't really matter who runs it to a certain extent for some things. Like, you know, no matter how much one person cares about XYZ, they may not be able to implement it, or maybe the CEO or the creative director of something just has too much power to where it's like the US government, where it's like you want something to happen, but it's just not gonna happen. It's just gonna get bogged down, put underneath stacks of other bills and stuff like that. And then the rich people are just gonna make some money and go home. Like that's kind of just the way a lot of those systems work. And just having this like epiphany of like, holy shit, the Pomplamoose guy, Jack Conte, who I respect as an artist as well and as a person, I didn't know he was the co-founder of Patreon. So then it just even more makes me like, well shit, now I want to even more so like support this company and support these models for artists, because he's talked about it. He made a video, and I think he did an NPR interview that I want to listen to, but he was talking about, right, like the way that a lot of artist fan systems work is, in the past it was much easier to just have a smaller fan base that are more like devoted to you and who will see your stuff. Like if they're subscribed to you or they follow you, they're going to see your stuff when you post it. And then you shift to the past like 3-4 years where it's just the algorithm takes over, and it's really all just about pushing stuff that they think is going to work to your personalized feed, your personalized algorithm, right? Where like there's some benefits to that, but I think for for actual creators and artists, I think it's overall net kind of terrible. And it's something that we've had to try and adapt to, but it doesn't mean that we love it, right? So as an artist myself, I know exactly what he's talking about when he's like, back in the day, you kind of had that direct connection with a lot of the artists, the people you followed, and now it's more scattered, and it's more like it's pushing more content. More people are seeing more artists and stuff like that, just in general. But you're not getting the consistent. Your viewers aren't going to see your stuff as consistently. That's just the way it goes. That's just the way it is. And Patreon, they're trying to take that model back. They're trying to push it back to like just like a concentrated artist fan, artist supporter system where you see all their stuff no matter what. You can support them in whatever way you want to. And on top of that, I think now they're taking these really awesome steps towards having just basically like this hub. It's like your own, now it's your own online store, maybe. Like that's what it might be in the future, right? I don't know the details. I think they're still just rolling out the commerce side of things, but it's really promising and really awesome to see, and it's got me really hopeful. And I've always been someone who's like, if you like an artist, if you like a band, go buy their CD, go buy their vinyl, go to their concert, go support them in whatever way you can. If you have no money, just go watch the person's YouTube video, like it, leave a comment. Like, I know I'm the minority because I'm also a creator when I think about this kind of stuff, but it's like, I will literally be like, don't forget to like the video, or like watch to the end or something like that if I want to support that person, because I know it will end up getting them more money. Like, you do not need to think like that. You do not have to go like that far into the weeds on everything. But when you see somebody or a company or a thing really earnestly trying to make it more profitable and more enjoyable and more tailored to the actual artists and the people who really want to support them, that's something rare in this day and age. And stuff like Patreon and the way they seem, the path they seem to be taking, has me really excited about it and makes me want to support them even more. And now I'm definitely considering making a Patreon. I'm thinking about what I can do as a creator on Patreon, and like how I can kind of start shifting some of my time and energy over to stuff like that. And hopefully they are successful with the rollout of their new commerce side of things. And I hope more people like myself, who are like, we're kind of on the fence, are like, okay, I definitely want to join Patreon now. Even if it's just like, I may not have anything concrete that I want to roll out for a little while. I want to make sure I'm on there and that I start checking it out more, because I think it might be something that I've kind of just put on the back burner a little too long, or kind of been like, oh, well, I don't have the resources to give supporters or people who want to back me. I don't have enough stuff to give them or offer them as a service to my subscription. I think it's time to start thinking about it a little differently, and kind of not being afraid to take a step of just like, sometimes you can ask people to support you if they just enjoy your work or enjoy like very small perks and benefits, right? And I'm really, really considering and thinking about how I can do that. So good news for artists, another W in the sea of L's the past couple years. So yeah, hopefully good luck to Patreon. Shout out to Jack Conte and Pomplamoose and all the creators who are on Patreon who have made it such a like thriving artist community so far. Thank you for doing the legwork and making it possible for people like me who are just like kind of super late to the party, who might want to jump on, and hopefully this all works out. But that is going to be it for today. Thank you for listening or watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.